Hello everyone. Through this video, we will discuss the different mechanisms how to handle exception in Java. But before going to the concept of exception handling, let us discuss what is exception is all about. I have discussed in details in the last video regarding exception and how exception generates, where the different situations where the user commit mistake and exception is generated in program. But still, let's discuss with an example, then we'll handle that exception so that you'll be clear how exception handling mechanism is implemented in Java. So let's write use of exception handling mechanism in Java. J for Java. Okay. So class test exception handling. Okay. So here what we will do, we will find the division between two numbers. Okay. And we'll print the result. And we'll take the input from the user. Okay. So we have used scanner class for taking the input from the user. Okay. Similarly, enter the second value and keep the value in number 2. Okay. Now res equal to number 1 divided by number 2. The result is plus res. Okay. Let's keep another message. Last ending statement. Okay. Done. Now let's save this file. Done. Oh, you have to use the import the util package because of scanner class. Compiled. Asking for the first value, so 25. Second value 5. This is simple program. Okay. Now 25 I have entered, second value 5 I have entered, and the result I am getting is 5. Clear? So due to this, what is happening? It's a normal flow of execution of the program. Clear? You are entering two values, you are finding the division, you are printing the result, and rest of the thing you are doing. Okay. Now problem arises whenever the first value is 25, okay, the denominator we are entering 0, okay, wrongly, and instantly see The normal flow of execution is like this. Clear? That means you will enter two values. Okay. After entering two values, you will get the result and program over statement will be executed. Then your program will be terminated. But when the denominator you are entering wrongly 0, so 25 by 0 has been calculated and one infinite value is generated. Not a single data type is here who can handle the value infinite. So instantly, abnormally the program got terminated because it is beyond the user's control. Okay, so one bug is generated during runtime or execution time. Okay, so here it is written arithmetic exception has been generated because you have divided by 0. Clear? Okay, so this is the case how exception will be generated. Clear? Now through this video we will discuss how to handle this particular exception. Okay, so whenever we will try to handle the exception, you have to take the help of few keywords. So suppose currently you are using two keywords. One is your try, one is your catch. Okay, so what is the use of try block? Now try block allows the programmer not to terminate the program abnormally. Okay, now suppose you are making a guess that these particular statements are creating the problem. Okay, so what you will do, you will keep everything inside the try block. Okay, so try block will detect the exception. What kind of exception? Where you have committed the mistake during execution time. Okay, if any exception is there, the try block will throw that particular exception or will let you know about the exception. Clear? And catch block will handle that exception. This will generate the exception. This will handle the exception. Clear? Okay. So let's see. Now we are making a guess that few statements are there who is creating the problem. So we'll keep up to this one inside the try block. And then whenever exception is generated, remember, whenever exception is generated, the corresponding object of that class is being thrown. Okay, so like here arithmetic exception is generated. So we have discussed that arithmetic exception is also one class. So the object of arithmetic exception class will be thrown. So whenever in the catch block, you have to write down the corresponding exception class name with object. Okay, you can give your message system dot out dot println cannot divide by 0. Okay, clear? And this statement we are keeping outside the try block. Understood? These statements I am expecting that from any of the statement, maybe the error may be generated. See, as a user you are writing a simple program, so you know that this is where the case you will find the exception, so you can modify that. But whenever you will involve in a large project and you are writing 10,000 20,000 lines of code, there you cannot make a guess that this particular portion of code is creating the problem. So what you are doing, you are making a larger guess like this one. You are targeting any of the statement may generate exception. Okay, so everything you are making a guess will keep inside the try block. Now the try block is having a greatness that even if some exception arises inside it, the program will not be terminated. Okay, so when JVM understands that there is an exception, it stores the exception details in an exception object. Okay, and then jumps to the catch block. Understood? Okay, so previously whatever the abnormal termination was there, we are avoiding that and handling the exception. Clear? Let's see. Compilation done. Okay. Here also you have done the compilation. Compilation time will not find any kind of error if there is any logical error or exception will be generated. We will get the error whenever we will execute the code. Okay. The compilation done. See, previously there was an abnormal termination when you have entered the value for the denominator. Now I am giving the same input. Okay, check. Here abnormal termination was there. How we will know that? Because the program which is after where the exception is generated, after that few code is also there. But if that code is not executing, means before the normal completion of the program is terminated due to exception is generated. Here also exception will be generated, but this message is printed because we have given the message inside the catch block. So the try block will generate the exception, will throw the exception. Now the catch block will handle the exception. After that, the rest of the code is being executed, and finally normal flow of the execution has occurred. Clear? Okay. You can see this example once again on the basis of the output. Okay. That previously abnormal termination has occurred because of this operation. Okay. Now we are handling the exception by using some mechanism or by using some keyword. So try block, we have given the code where the exception may be generated. Now try block will find the exception, what kind of exception is there. JVM will throw that particular exception and handles inside the catch block. Remember, here suppose the exception has been generated. Then this, after that, whatever the statements are there are not going to be executed if it is present inside the try block. Okay. Catch block will handle the exception. How? Because whenever you are doing the arithmetic operation, one object will be thrown of arithmetic exception class. That is called by the OB. Okay. Now after that, after successfully handling this catch block, whatever you have written inside the catch block, the message will be displayed. Once the catch block will be over, the rest of the code will also be executed and will be terminated. This is what the normal flow of execution of the program. So this is what the use of try and catch block, how the exception will be generated and how it will be handled in the catch block. Okay. We'll see some more cases. Like suppose I am keeping inside the try block few more statements like hello, I am inside the try block. Okay. I am keeping the same println statement outside the try block. I am outside the try block. Okay. So the motto of telling of this example that if there will be no exception will be generated, all these statements will execute, no catch block will execute, because exception is not generated means the role of catch block will never come. Okay. Instantly it will come to this statement and the rest of the statements will execute. Okay. This is one case. Second case, if exception is generated, so suppose here the exception is generated. So before that, all the statements will execute. Here exception is generated. Now the role of catch block will come. Instantly JVM will throw the object of the same type of exception whatever is generated and will move to the catch block. So what will happen? The rest of the statement whatever is present inside the try block are not going to be executed. Clear? So the catch block will execute and after that again it will move to the outside catch block and the rest of the statement will execute. Okay, so this is what the difference between statements inside the try block, statements outside the try block. Let us see through the example. Compiled, executed. Okay, so first I'm giving a normal flow. Check. Result is 5. Hello, I am inside the try block. That means the statements whatever is present inside the try block are executed, and outside the try block are also executed. But the statement whatever is present inside the catch block is not going to be executed because exception is not generated, so catch block role will never come. Okay, but let's execute the second case. See, here up to these two statements are okay. Now exception is being generated from this statement when the division is being done because of denominator as 0. So you are getting exception. So once exception is generated, the rest of the statement present inside the try block are not going to be executed. Okay. What will happen? Next the role of catch block will come. Clear? Now it will print the message cannot divide by 0, and then the rest of the statements will be executed because try block will help you for avoiding abnormal termination. Okay, so the rest of statements are executing. Clear? So this is what the example of, or the detailed example of using try and catch block, how to handle exception. So this is one of the kind of exception handling mechanism. You can use any number of cases wherever try and catch will provide you the solution how to avoid abnormal termination. So remember, the most important objective of exception handling in Java is to avoid abnormal termination of the program. Clear? Okay. Now you will check exception handling. It is required handle the runtime errors. Yes. Okay. Second, the normal flow of the execution can be maintained. Obviously, the abnormal termination is being removed, so the normal flow can be achieved. The rest of the code, which is outside the try block, will get a chance for execution. Okay, because of what abnormal termination, the rest of the code where the exception is generated, after that none of the statements are going to be executed. But using try catch block, the rest of the code will also get a chance to execute. Okay, now these are the different keywords to handle exception in Java. Try, catch, we have experienced these two. Rest of the things we will also experience in our future videos. But there are 5 different keywords are there: try, catch, throw, throws, and finally. Okay, we have discussed the importance of try catch. Also, we'll discuss in details in the next video, and regarding all the keywords in our next videos. So this is what the overall working principle of using try catch block or exception handling. So first case, without exception. Without exception handling mechanism means exception is generated, but we are not handling. So what will happen? This is the entire code. Exception is generated here. So the rest of codes are not going to be executed. What will happen? Directly it will come to abnormal termination. Okay, that we have experienced without using try catch block. Okay. Next, what happened? Exception has not occurred. Means we are writing the program. We are entering 25. We are entering 5. So exception is not generated, but we are keeping the code inside the try block. Okay. We are using the concept of try catch block. But if exception is not generated, then what will happen? Once the try block code will be executed, after that the rest of the code will execute. No role of catch block will come. That also you have experienced through the example. Okay. Next is exception has occurred and handled. So whenever I am entering 25 and 0, so exception has occurred. So from where the exception has occurred, instantly the catch block role will come. Okay. Catch block will be executed, will give some messages, then it will come for the rest of the code to execute. Clear? Next, exception has occurred but not handled. This is the last case. Means what we have told, that by inside the try block we are making a guess that maybe this portion of code is creating the problem. So you are keeping inside the try block. There may be some situation this particular portion of code is not generating the exception. Other portion may be generating the exception, but we have not kept inside the try block. This is one case. Or if arithmetic exception is generated, but we are handling another exception in catch block. That means whenever the exception is generated, it will come to the catch block and there will be mismatch. Okay, there will be mismatch. So if mismatch will occur, catch block is not there to handle the exception. So what will happen? Again, the first case will be same as the last case. Abnormal termination will occur. Okay, we'll see the last case through example. So here arithmetic exception was generated. Now suppose I am writing something extra, null pointer exception. Okay, I am generating arithmetic exception, but handling null pointer exception. Now what will happen? Let's check. Done. See, instantly abnormal termination has occurred. I am showing you the different cases here through this example. Okay, first one, there is no exception is generated. Okay, 25 5 I have entered, the result I am getting, all everything is executed, no catch flow. So means I am using the concept of exception handling mechanism in my program, but it is not of any use because exception is not generated. Second, exception is generated, handled by the catch block, and the rest of code will execute. Next one, we are using the exception handling mechanism but unable to handle. Why? Because the corresponding catch block whatever we have provided is wrong. Generating arithmetic but catching null pointer exception. So there will be mismatch. Okay. So mismatch means again abnormal termination will occur. So instantly abnormal termination has occurred. Clear? Okay. Let's see one more thing. This is one case, it is written. So read the exception. Java.lang arithmetic exception in thread in main by divide by 0. A lot of things are coming. Okay. I am printing the object itself. Whatever OB I am catching, the same OB I am printing. Let me check what actually the message is coming while printing OB. Okay. So I am handling the exception and printing the value. Done. So 25, then 0. Exception will be generated. It will be handled by the catch block, cannot divide by 0. After that, we have printed the OB. What OB actually contains, you check. It's a detailed message will come. Exception in thread, all that. But with the message will also it will come. This is what the message. Rest of the things are because of abnormal termination. So we are also catching the message and we are printing java.lang arithmetic exception colon divide by 0. Okay, so OB contains the exact kind of error message which is generated by JVM and thrown to the catch block, and it is caught by the object, the corresponding object, and keeps the exact error message. Okay, so you are handling the exception and then executing the rest of the code. Okay, so these are all the 4 different cases. You can experience the detailed working principle of exception handling mechanism. Okay. Now these are the 5 different keywords. You have explained that try is used to keep the exception code. Catch is used to handle the exception. Okay. The rest of the three, let's discuss, but we'll discuss in details in the rest of the videos. So finally, actually used to clean up the code. What is the meaning of clean up? We'll discuss. Throw, it is used to throw an exception manually. Now we are not throwing the exception. Automatically the exception will be thrown by JVM. But you'll use the throw keyword to throw the exception manually. And throws is actually used to declare the exception. What is the meaning of declaration? What is the meaning of exception manually throwing? And clean up code, that we'll discuss in our future video. So thank you everyone for watching this.